everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's video. Today we're talking about my toning up trifecta. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard someone say that they just want to tone up. And so to me, there are 3 basic movements that you can create a ton of different exercises and movements from, and those are a push-up, a plank, and a simple squat. I want to go over those 3 movements today because they look fairly simple, but there's a lot of components that really go into making them effective. And with these 3 movements, you can then elaborate and build on a lot more difficult or even simpler movements. But from these 3 movements, I think you can get the most tone, the most bang for your buck, because when we're doing the push-up, a plank, and a squat, you're getting a full body workout from 3 moves. So I want to show you these 3 moves, plus 3 variations of these moves that you can try at your next workout. Let's start with a basic push-up. To do a basic push-up, you put yourself into a plank position, shoulders are over your wrists, and you elongate your body. You do have the option to place your knees down if you're just beginning. And when you push up, you start at the bottom and actually push yourself up. When you're doing the push-up, it's an upper body, core, and I'm squeezing everything from my belly button down, so it really is a full body movement. But here's a variation to make it even more difficult. Doing a narrow push-up. So now your elbows, instead of going out, are going to brush the side of your body. This is going to hit more of the tricep, which is the back of your arm. If you're somebody who hates to wave and has things hanging down here, this is the move to tone up your arm. And for everyone out there who's like, I got that, Katie, I can totally do that, there's an even harder way to do a push-up, even more advanced way to do a push-up, which is gonna get more of the shoulders, the triceps, the biceps, and the chest. And this is by doing a staggered push-up. So typically when we're just doing those push-ups, our hands were here or here, but they're both parallel and they're next to each other. This time we're gonna stagger your hands. So one hand is gonna be in front of the other, do a couple push-ups, and then switch hands. It looks like this. Make sure you switch.
Lights off, lights on, ready for some action.
My next favorite movement for toning up your entire body is a plank. When you're doing a plank, it's a lot harder than it looks. Sometimes it looks like people are just sort of laying there, but really what you should be doing is contracting your core, pulling your elbows towards your middle, and almost trying to contract your body inward instead of just sitting upright on your elbows or up on your arms. So I'm gonna show you a plank first, and then I'm gonna show you a few variations that make it even more difficult. Just like with the push-ups, if you wanna start with planks, you can start just resting on your knees, and I'll show you that before we begin. If you're still building core strength, as I just mentioned, you can do a plank on your knees. Just like this. Otherwise, your options for plank are elbows. Make sure your back is nice and flat, contracting your entire core. And when I say core, that's your belly button all the way through your back. Or you can push up on your hands and do a plank up here. A fun variation is doing toe taps. When we're doing toe taps, we're taking away your center of gravity. It's so easy to do something when you're standing still, but as soon as you start shifting your weight around, it becomes a lot more difficult. For those of you toning up your midsection and you're looking for that V, that's gonna be the obliques, which are the side core muscles. So a great way to hit those is to do a 1-arm plank. Very important when you're doing a 1-arm plank, make sure that you stack your shoulder over your wrist. This is incorrect. I could get hurt doing this. Make sure you're nice and stacked. I like to stay here for about 30 seconds and then switch to the other side. You do have the option to put your foot in front, just a little bit easier. This gets a little bit harder, and then even hardest is right like this. Make it even more difficult by, again, moving your extremity. Finally, my favorite move to tone up everything from the belly button down is a squat. A squat looks kind of simple because we squat all the time to sit down to pick things up, but it's actually very important that you're aligned by your hips, your knees, and your ankles. So I'll show you again a few variations.
I try to let it go.
Now, if you know me, you know that I love to tone my glutes. And squats are gonna be the one thing to help really lift that booty up. So when you are squatting, it's very important that you keep the weight in the heels, and when you come back up, don't just stand up like it's any other day. Push through your heels. Feet will be hip distance apart, arms out in front of you for a little bit of balance if you need it, and just squat. Make sure that your knees stay over your toes. When you squat, we don't want to buckle our knees like this. So when you do sit back, knees stay over your toes. I like to think about opening my knees just a little bit so I know they're safely where they need to be. When I'm warming up, I like to do 15 or 20 of these. Just another great variation is a split squat where you put one foot in front of the other. I like to hold weights in my hands. Chest is up. Make sure that's very important that your chest is up because you don't want to squat and sink. And then you squat down and come up. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing all the way through my heels to really get my glutes fired up. So again, we're trying to tone the lower half of our body, so you really have to concentrate and push through those muscles. And as always, make sure you switch. Keep it even on both sides. Now this final variation may be my favorite type of squat because I think it has a really cute name. This is called a curtsy squat. So if anyone's ever done a curtsy before, throw your foot behind and you curtsy like a little lady. Well, when we're doing a curtsy squat, one foot stays planted, the other one flips behind, almost as if you can see it from the other side. And I like to start this by holding on to something, or I'll hold a weight at my chest here. Now we just squat. So again, all my weight is in my front foot, because I'm really working on this front glute. So if I were in my here, I should be able to lift this foot, right? So I should shift a little bit more, see? I should be able to lift my foot, no problem, when I'm down in that squat position. And just like always, make sure you do both sides. Don't forget, even though you're twisting your hips and your legs are twisted, try to keep your chest as forward as possible. So imagine again, I'm holding a weight here, or hold on to a counter, or something else just to help you stabilize your balance. So there you have it. That's my tone up trifecta, the 3 of movements that are gonna give you the most toning, most bang for your buck, because when you're doing the push-up and a plank and you're squatting, you're moving so many muscles, you're squeezing so many muscles. It really is a full body workout. If you have any questions, reach out below. Also make sure that you find me on Facebook, sign up for my newsletter so you get lots of good free nutrition, workouts, and tips. Have an amazing day.